So let's go back to Cypher. What's Cypher? Do you want to talk about that for a moment or not really? Is it just an ugly...
Cypher's kind of the continuation. I mean, like,
it's a strange name. What does it mean? Let's get that out of the way first.
It's all about
do you want to do that here and now?
You know?
Do I care?
Yeah.
So it's decipher, really.
Yeah. Cypher is all about the puzzle and trying to figure something out. You know, you use a cipher to figure out a puzzle.
There is no end to it.
Exactly. And so it's kind of the adventure. And
La
I think
Venture.
I started... La Venture. No, that's somebody else's project. But I love that,
to get yourself an accent.
Didn't
work for me. Don't go English.
Terrible,
Don't go English.
dude. It's terrible.
You could go Irish because everyone wants to be Irish for some reason.
The Danes are way boring. But...
yeah, they are.
You know, we did something really interesting
But they do
with
drink
Four
a
Vines.
lot.
It was like it was a project.
They did a lot of things interesting.
It was an interesting study.
It's not
Naked
bitter.
Chardonnay was a really cool gig because I was really selfish. I wanted acid in my Chardonnay. It took off. It was great. It, you know, provided a lot of, you know, granted I started in my garage.
Yeah, it was all
so
right.
it was really, really nice to actually have something to pay the bills so I could play on my art projects. But my art projects were the freak shows, you know, the Anarchy, you know, the Heretic, the Peasant. They were all really phenomenal, fun, regional
And
ones.
still are. I mean, and presumably those will still be with us, right?
They're there. They're still, that's the heart and core. And so Cypher, given that we sold the Four Vines name, I needed a new name and a new direction to kind of continue the freak show with. So, but I also know I alienated a hell of a lot of people. You know, when I started the freak show, it was kind of like wanting to slap the Martha Stewarts upside the head kind of a thing. So I wanted
So you
to
alienated her.
her and like her, she has a minion, dude. It's pretty scary. Even when they went to jail, they were like hanging out with like well-made poster cards that said, you know,
Well-made poster cards.
and cupcakes for all the guards. But literally, you know, she has a hell of a following. She represented a really big group, and we were just of a different mindset. So I was all about pushing the envelope and kind of snapping heads.
You and Martha are of a different mindset. Is that what you're saying?
Slightly.
Right.
I believe we would fight, but you know, now it's like I've settled down a bit, and I'm way into just being about the wines and being focused, and I have a little bit of freedom in the
So
fact
you're going to focus
that,
more on Paso?
oh, very much so. You know, a
just
little
gonna
bit
be
of
Paso, or
Santa
you
Barbara,
gonna-
Santa Barbara. Yeah, I got to play with the cool climate a little bit.
You're going to still make Chardonnay, aren't you?
Slightly. I'm good at it, and it's interesting down there.
You're
You
not
know,
that-
I'm making
you're
little
not
baby
that good.
chablis.
It's bloody easy, really, isn't it?
It's okay,
Chardonnay.
man. It's okay, but
You
I'm
should buy
telling
some
you,
James Berry Chardonnay.
I passed on
Yeah,
that
that's
a while
cheap.
ago.
You know, as a vineyard you should buy that I know is up for grabs right now, and I think you should do this. Here it is. The McBride Vineyard on York Mountain. 20-year-old Chardonnay. Steve Goldman's been making it, but he's retiring pretty much. So it's good.
I'm sure it is because it's the coolest climate in Paso, but I'm just all about cool climate Chardonnay, man. I
Well,
want
it's
to play in
cool
Santa
up there.
Barbara.
Go up there.
Hey,
I guarantee you it's better than
Where
Santa
I'm getting my
Barbara
Chardonnay right now.
You're not listening to me.
White.
are you?
You're right. I've shut you off.
Stop.
White
McBride
chocolate
Vineyard. I'll buy the ton. And
All right,
you make it.
bring it.
I'll
bring
give
it.
you
We'll
the
do
ton.
it. We'll
All
do
right,
it.
Here it is.
Just as long as we pick it
I'm
in
buying you a ton of
22.5.
Chardonnay this year, and it's really expensive too. Let's let that be known.
Exactly. But the thing is that I wanted to
don't
bring a
epic
new
well.
sophistication to it.
You are going to bring sophistication.
Trying to bring
I'm
sophistication.
not
with
sure you're
Cypher.
the right man for that job.
Oh,
Particularly.
I have an uncanny knack for at least
You can
pushing
bring
the
something.
envelope.
It's certain
you know?
je ne sais quoi.
This certain je ne sais quoi with
But
you
it's
know,
not
mechanical drawings and
sophistication,
strange
I don't
things. I will bring the funk. I can dance. I still
can
am
do. You can
slightly,
bring the funk.
slightly funky.
But funk and sophistication are not the same thing.
And elegance. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stop pretending. It's gonna rock though. But I will find
can
my
bring
vein.
that.
I
You
will.
can bring that.
I will bring my vein of acid, and I don't have to say "fuck off" on the label anymore.
You can. Just don't say it on the radio, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Cuff. So I'm playing a lot with these new vineyards that I've been working with that are now mature. They're at 7 and 8 years. I wish they were 40, but at least they're not children anymore.
You wish you were 40 too.
Yeah, that is true. Having just graced another marker in the sand. But I'm excited to play with Mourvèdre directly. You know, I'm going to release a straight Mourvèdre, a straight Grenache.
The evolution
I do have my
continues.
Tannat toys to play with. That I'm
I mean, that
gonna have fun
evolution
with.
continues, just as you were saying earlier, the young winemakers have been doing it for 3 to 5 years or whatever. That never stops.
And that's
And you are now evolving to another spot. And you don't, you know, one of my French employers told me a long, long time ago that, you know, we learn this much every year.
Yeah.
And it's so true. We do this much, and from it we take about that much. And David Osgood, one of my growers, grows this stuff. His thing is, God, it's a shame we don't live for like 300 years and can really figure this stuff out. Which is such a good point, and it's so hard with what we do for a business to plant vineyards. Okay, so then it's 10 years old and you realize, yeah, probably shouldn't have done that. So then you're going to wait another 10 to give it another go. So you learn from that, and it's just a long haul sometimes. But when you get it right, it's cool, and when you can find vineyards that have got it right.
Well, it goes back to the crackhead. I mean, the thing is
the crackhead.
Look at the fine, you know, Mourvedre and Grenache vineyards in Paso Robles. You know, I think Grenache for quite a long time is always going to be challenged in Paso just because we don't have the vine age. You know, we've got great sites planted, the right clones, everything. It's great. It's just we need vine age. They'll get even better. You know, patience. But guess what? You know, there's probably, I think, maybe 2 or 3 really good vineyards in town right now that make great Grenache because they've got vine age, the right site planted. And the rest of us are just screwed. So what are we going to do? We're crackheads. We want the fruit. We want to go big. We know the site's going to be great. We're going to work with what we got.
I'm also curious about planting style. I think that's something too that, I mean, it seems as though we have been, or we are in, the time of super dense, low cordon planting, yada yada, 2,000 plus vines to the acre. However, in my world, I do that with Talbot's Creek. I do some really pretty intensive stuff, and it works clearly. But what I'm seeing is a shift to the dry farm, and I'm kind of wondering whether is how you farm it as important as what it is in some ways. I mean, clearly where you put it is very important, but
yes,
I'm buying Cabernet Tannat and Petit Verdot and Zin from the same vineyard, and they were all great, and they're 5-year-old vines, right? Dry farm vines.
Well, I mean, like I always wrestled this with the Zin world. I mean, everybody's like old vines, old vines. You know, why is that, you know, such a big thing? Well, the reality of it is that like everything over 40 in a vine world naturally declines and produces less fruit, hence more concentration. The thing is, and the reality of it is that Zin needs that concentration. It's not a varietal you can hang 4 tons to the acre and get the concentrations and make the wines that people are interested in.
Well, here's a good question. How many 80-year-old intensively planted vineyards have you seen?
Intensively, meaning high
like
density?
2,000 high density.
Zero,
none, right?
There's none. You know,
so all of the really old vineyards that I know of are dry farm.
Yeah, and they're epic. And you know, a lot of the new techniques that have been developed are ways of trying to emulate that low pounds per vine thing. But the thing is that in Zin, everybody thinks, oh, so it's all about old vines. Well, I worked with the original Grand Père vineyard up in Amador, over 140 years old. There's a reality everybody has to understand. It's like, you know, that's kind of extreme even for a vineyard, you know? And the reality is how did it grow to be 140 years old? Well, it had a lot of favorable things. It avoided the forest fires, you know, it did well in us, but also had really deep soil and was built on basically a subterranean lake, so it did really well.
It avoided generations of people, too.
Yeah, so the thing is like, there's old vine vineyards out there that throw a lot of fruit per vine. Where I could tell you I have a 20-year-old vine vineyard where the fruit is twice as concentrated because, you know, they're older vines, they're mature, but they're planted in 18 inches of soil. They're short, they're small, they struggle like a bastard, and it's about concentration. And I think the efforts in modern vineyard planting and modern, you know, grape growing is trying to naturally come up with that.
Don't you think young vines in general, though, like young dry farm, they're like teenagers. They're kind of stupid. I have a couple of teenagers.
Completely.
So
sometimes they shun.
But they throw big fruit.
Yes.
They throw a lot of fruit, and they
but
can't
it all
do
depends
it.
on
They can't do it.
how you farm it too.
In a way, but
Don Hofer's vineyard that he planted. Okay, he wanted to go super high tech. Well, he went up to Napa, and he was one of the first people to do it down actually on the Central Coast. But he planted Mourvedre and Grenache on 420, and 420 is like the new rage up in Napa because it is really restricting and really doesn't throw much fruit. Well, the Mourvedre failed. Because it wasn't a good match for Mourvedre.
Do they make wine in Napa?
But it's done well on the Grenache. And since then he's found a clone that will work and, you know, subsequently has happened. But he's replanted it.
This
We're
was like
seeing-
last week you found a clone that will work?
No, it's 3 years ago. So the thing is that he, and I find it ironic, which means something else entirely, because supposedly the first clone was the second clone under a different name, and it just happened to be with the way that
Wow.
that the nursery grew the stuff, and they basically ended up with some mold in the
Graft Union.
in the graft union. And so that's why it fell apart. So I don't think it was about the clone. I think it was about, the
Well, this is the
nursery.
thing, going back to the nursery guy that said you can't do St. George's or Vedred. And we found that at the Tablas nursery, it didn't like many
Yeah.
combinations.
It
It liked
is-
certain things, but
it's
not
picky,
many.
man.
It is picky.
It's
It
picky,
is.
but 420 seems to have
But I
worked on it.
still say that a young vine, be it dry farm, because I'm watching Grenache at Tablas Creek, this 5-year-old, and it's throwing so much fruit.
Yeah.
And the Heatons too. I mean, it's throwing so much fruit. You go, calm down.
Yeah.
But then once it gets a little older, it's like, okay, I don't need to work this hard. It's like people really, they figure it out.
Don actually succeeded quite a bit this year. He really.
So you're throwing a lot of weight to Dawn, aren't you?
Well,
So
Dawn's
how much fruit
I've been
you buy? Is your
impressed-
entire production from that
No,
vineyard?
no. Probably about 10%. But Don has done some really interesting things. But he's a grower that's unlike most other growers, where he really strives for excellence. I mean, he's the only guy that'll come up to me and say, "Chris, I want to go 1 cluster per cane this year." I mean, what grower does that? Anybody. He is all about trying to push the envelope, and make something wild happen. And
So where does he come for that? Why does he say that? What, does he make wine?
he's a perfectionist.
No, but what leads him to come to you and say, I think we should go 1 cluster per cane? He's reading magazines? Where does he get that information from?
First off,
he's talking to people behind your back. So
Yes,
it's,
he's pushed.
someone else is trying to get your fruit.
I know, believe me.
Beware.
I know.
I've dealt with this before.
I've dealt with this before too.
People will be offering them their car. For
Well,
that more
the thing
Vedred.
is Don,
In fact, I've got a Land Cruiser.
they're going to have to buy a hell of a lot of Syrah to get any more bed from Don's vineyard. Because no, but Don,
I've heard people are looking for Syrah right now. It's hot.
really.
No, not really.
But
Looking for a home
the
for
fact being
Syrah.
is Don's taken certain approaches where he's gone after almost zero watering and almost taking a dry farming approach, trying to keep berry size down, and timing of when things have access to water are really big deals, and he's succeeded. I'd love to turn around and throw rocks at it because it's modern, technical. But he's succeeding. He's finding the window. And the thing is there's a lot of people that try to emulate and try to go big in the farming aspect, but they're not willing to go to the level to places where it really matters. And then at the end of the day, they're all looking at the bank going, I have to get this much yield tons per acre and this price to basically pay the bill.
Here's something interesting.
That's actually really good for the business because it's going to force everybody into low,
Maybe.
prices are going to go down,